We have all of our commissioners here with the exception of Cindy. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance and we'll get going. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to Texas.
Pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Amazing. Okay. First item is a report from the Bingo Advisory Committee. Trace, this is your item.
Morning, Commissioners, Chairman. We had our Bingo Advisory Committee yesterday, and we would like to thank the staff for their presentations on the website by Scott Semergren and the audit presentation by Nicole Domain. Both presentations were very informative and educational. We're currently in the nomination process to replace the open seat on the Advisory Committee. So far, we have 3 nominations that have been submitted for consideration by the staff. One of the nominees who was in attendance yesterday gave a brief biography, Stacy Johnston. She's been in the Dallas area working in the bingo industry for approximately the past 25 years. We're excited about hearing from the rest of the nominees going into the nomination process. We also had a legislative update by Steve Bresnan and Steve Fernelio. And our next meeting will be held 20th of June, and be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. If there's any questions? Thank you. Okay. With our bingo representative not here, normally we would have a lot more communication from her regarding any matters, but thank you again for your report. Okay, next item is the 2022 Minority Business Participation Report. Eric, this is your item.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. On the record, my name is Eric Williams, and I'm the Hub Coordinator for the Texas Lottery Commission. As you're aware, the Hub program is a statewide initiative that provides assistance, contracting opportunities to minority, women, and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. I'd like to provide a brief update on our program before I speak about the Minority Business Participation Report. At the beginning of each year, the agency sets its annual internal Hub goals as required by the Comptroller's rules. This year's goals and a set of summary reports were sent to you last fall. Also, prior to COVID-19 pandemic, the Lottery Commission conducted an annual Hub forum which attracted minority Hub participants from across the state. A roundtable networking session at these events allowed maximum interaction between attendees, agency staff, and key TLC contractors. Agency plans to resume this annual Hub event in fiscal year 2023. A copy of the agency's finalized fiscal year 2022 Minority Business Participation Report is included in your notebooks today. This is an annual report which is required by Section 466-107 of the State Lottery Act and must be made available to the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Speaker of the House, and members of the Legislature. The report documents minority and Hub participation in our agency's contracting activity and includes information on the number of licensed minority retailers. During fiscal year 2022, the agency achieved an overall percentage rate of 10.66% in its minority Hub contracting activity, which represents a decrease from our fiscal year 2021's performance of 14.38%. This decrease can be attributed to the legislative budget cuts to our 2022 advertising budget, which equated to a $7.2 million reduction. The agency currently contracts with a Hub vendor for advertising services, and the total dollars spent under this contract are counted directly toward our overall Hub percentage. The advertising budget has gone from 2.5 million in 2019 to 10.4 million in 2022. Of the 20 largest spending state agencies and universities in fiscal year 2022, the Lottery Commission ranked 11th by overall HUD percentage. During this reporting period, the agency also had 8,546 minority retailers, which represented 41.25% of the Texas Lottery's retailer base. I'll be happy to answer any questions requiring this report at this time.
Commissioners, any questions? So at little over 10%, where does that rank us, would you say, with other state agencies, approximately, if you have that information?
With other state agencies, of the 20 largest state agencies and universities, we were ranked 11th by overall percentage.
11th out of 20 or 11th percentile?
11 out of 20.
Got it.
Out of the 20 top spending agencies,
Right in the,
agencies and universities, we're 11th.
got it. Okay. And then before the cut from last year, or do you have what we were ranked in 2021?
2021, of the 19 largest spending state agencies and universities, we were ranked 10th by overall percentage.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
If there's any other questions, thoughts?
Thank you, Eric.
Yes, sir. And this is an action item, and General Counsel Bob Beard will have that document for you to sign.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the report?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is report from Angela, Advertising Media Services Contract.
Chairman, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Angela Skyby-Sagarba, Director of Administration. Item 4 in your notebooks is an action item. Staff is seeking Commission approval to execute a contract with Latin Works Marketing LLC, DBA Third Ear, for advertising media services. The term of the contract will be for a 5-year period upon execution. Commissioners have independently confirmed they do not have a financial interest in Latin Works Marketing LLC, DBA Third Ear. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioners, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the contract? I move that we approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion approves. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 5, report on lottery sales and revenue. Kelly and Robert, your item.
Morning, Commissioners.
One.
Kelly Secchi, Controller of the agency, and with me this morning is Robert Trelawney, our Lottery Operations Director. And we're here to present the sales item today through the week ending April 8th, 2023. So if we look here at this first slide, we'll look at comparative sales presented at the bottom of the slide. And it's here we'll see through this 32-week period, total sales for fiscal year 23 are $5,294 million. That's an increase of over $330 million, or 6.7% over $4,964 million in sales the same time last year. For looking at scratch sales, fiscal year 23 sales are on that second orange bar on the right and are $4,093 million. And that's a 17.1 million or 0.4% increase over the fiscal year 22 sales. And then due to our strong draw sales this fiscal year, scratch sales are currently making up 77.3% of our total sales as compared to the 82.1% we had last year. Then looking at draw sales, our 23 draw sales continue to see great growth as a result of those sizable jackpots we had earlier this year in Mega and Powerball, as well as our rolling Lotto Texas jackpot that's currently advertised at $66.75 million. So looking at the second blue bar on the right, our 23 draw sales are $1,201 million, And that's a $313 million increase, or 35.3% over last year. And so now I'll turn it over to Robert and he can get into the details by game.
Thank you, Kelly. Good morning, commissioners. We'll start, and you do have printed slides in front of you as well. I know it could be a little challenging to see the screen. We'll start towards the bottom with the total for the draw games. Draw games are up $313 million last Saturday, the 8th. The majority of that, or almost all of it, is coming from the jackpot portion of the portfolio. We've talked a little bit about this in previous meetings, but we've had a tremendous year in terms of jackpots for all of our games. It's quite amazing, actually. It started last summer with Mega Millions when we had a $1.28 billion jackpot, and we've just consistently very healthy, very solid jackpot rolls. I usually focus on the multi-state games when there are big jackpots, but actually our own in-state Lotto Texas jackpot has been rolling since September. And as Kelly mentioned, we're currently advertising a jackpot of $66.75 million for the Saturday drawing. That's the highest jackpot since 2010, when the jackpot was 97. So, it's not $1 billion, but for our in-state game, that's a sizable jackpot, and there's quite a bit of excitement around it. And you can see the results of, you can see the sales results from that jackpot roll that has been going on for a while now. We're up almost $27 million on Lotto. We're up just over $9 million on the extra feature for Lotto. Again, all of Mega Millions and its add-on features and Powerball and its add-on feature are all up. Even our smaller in-state jackpot game, Texas Two-Step, is up 1.6 million. So really healthy results from the jackpot portion of the portfolio. For the daily games in blue in the middle of the slide, we're up 2.3 million overall. The only game that's down is Pick 3. It's down 4.2 million. That's not a normal trend. We've been seeing declines in that game. So again, as a whole, draw games are up 313 million. Last time we met, I told you we were experiencing some soft sales from the scratch portion of the portfolio. That has rebounded. We are up $17 million, and we're at about $4,093 million in total sales through last Saturday. I did provide you a sample of our newest $100 game. This is the second $100 game we've introduced, and it is Lotteria Supreme. You know, Lotteria is a very popular family of games for us. It does very, very well. And this game is off to a great start. It's only been out, last week was its first week, and it was the #1 selling scratch ticket last week. So I expect even stronger sales this week from that game. And all told, we are up $330 million year over year. And we feel good about where we're at. One note, as we get into the late summer, we will have some very tough comparison weeks on the draw game side because of that very large Mega Millions jackpot I referenced a moment ago. So, you know, we will probably see a decline in draw game. The surplus that we have of 313, there's a possibility that that's going to decrease when we get to those tough comparison weeks. But we believe we have a healthy surplus. We feel good about where we are for the remainder of the year. And that's our report for today, Mr. Chairman. We're happy to answer any questions.
Okay, commissioners, any questions, comments, thoughts? Yeah, good job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, next item is report on transfers to the state. Kelly, this is your item.
Commissioners, for this item, it's just a briefing item. In your notebook, there's a report that shows our cumulative transfers to the state through February 28th, 2023. Total accrued revenue transfers to the state amounted, to $1,002 million for the first 6 months of fiscal year 23. And of that amount, $939 million was transferred to the Foundation School Fund. $13.9 million was transferred to the Texas Veterans Commission, and the remaining $49 million was transferred from unclaimed prizes. So Specifically for the Foundation School Fund, we are looking at a 14.3% increase for 118 million when compared to fiscal year 22 at the same time. Cumulative overall, our transfers to the Foundation School Fund are $30.6 billion, and cumulative to the state are $36.6 billion. And then the second half of this item, also included in your notebook, is our fiscal year 23 method of finance summary for the second quarter ending again in February. In summary, the Commission's lottery account budget for 23 is at $256 million. And of this amount, 80%, $204 million, has been spent or encumbered through the end of the second quarter. And then the bingo administration budget funded by general revenue is budgeted at $2.1 million, with 90% expended, or $1.9 million, through the end of the second quarter. Commissioners, this concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Okay, commissioners, any questions, comments, thoughts?
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, next item is a report on the legislative session. Nelda, this is your item.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Nelda Trevino, Director of Governmental Affairs. More specific to the agency's operations, and that have had some recent legislative actions from the time period from our last commission meeting. I'll begin with an update of the appropriations bill, House Bill 1 and Senate Bill 1, the House and Senate versions of the state's budget for the next biennium, and the actions that have been taken specifically related to the agency. The House Appropriations Committee approved the agency's exceptional item request for the authority to increase the funding for scratch ticket production by $17.4 million for fiscal year 2025. However, when the budget bill was considered by the full House last week, 3 floor amendments negatively impacting the agency's appropriations and funding were adopted. These adopted amendments decrease funding from the agency's appropriations and take dollars to increase funding in other state programs within the appropriations bill. One amendment adopted decreases the agency's appropriations and impacts the agency's funding for the regulation of charitable bingo. 2 of the amendments adopted impact the lottery's advertising budget and combined decrease the current $10 million annual budget to approximately $4 million. The Senate Finance Committee considered their version of the budget bill and also approved the agency's exceptional item request for the authority to increase the funding for scratch ticket production by the $17.4 million for fiscal year 2025. Additionally, based on some comments expressed by several members of the Senate Finance Committee related to the Commission's authority, along with some comments regarding third-party lottery courier services currently operating in the state, a rider submitted for consideration by Senator Bob Hall was adopted for the agency's appropriations bill pattern. The rider language basically states that the executive director of the Lottery Commission shall not allow the order or purchase of a lottery ticket by telephone, including facilitating sale of tickets via an application in a phone. A conference committee comprised of House and Senate members will eventually be formed to reconcile all the differences between the House and Senate versions of the budget bill. A few other bills that I want to mention and provide an update on include Senate Bill 1820 by Senator Bob Hall. This relates to prohibiting the play and function of play of a lottery game by telephone through the internet. The intent of the bill is to prohibit third-party lottery courier services, and this bill was considered and voted favorably by the Senate State Affairs Committee, and yesterday the bill was considered by the full Senate and was also favorably passed. House Bill 3944 by Representative Salman Bajani relates to the compensation paid to the lottery retailers and amends the Lottery Act to increase the retailer commissions from 5% to 10%. The bill was considered yesterday by the House Licensing and Administrative Procedures Committee and was left pending in the committee. A couple of bills related to charitable bingo, House Bill 423 by Representative Semfronia Thompson and the Senate companion, Senate Bill 643 by Senator Judith Saffirini. This relates again to the conduct of charitable bingo. The Senate bill was considered and voted favorably by the Senate State Affairs Committee and has also been voted favorably by the full Senate. The House Licensing Committee has also considered the bill, and yesterday the committee was voted out favorably by the committee. There is a committee substitute to the filed version of the bill, and the agency continues to work with the bingo industry and the bill authors as it relates to the language of the bill. An additional bill related to charitable bingo, House Bill 639 by Representative Jose Lozano. This relates to the number of temporary licenses issued to conduct bingo to non-regular license holders. This bill was considered and voted favorably by the House Licensing Committee, and last week was considered by the full House and was voted favorably out of the House. Bill that is filed every session related to the sunset schedule bill. This year's bills, Senate Bill 1659 by Senator Charles Schwartner, and the companion bill, House Bill 1570 by Representative Justin Holland, relates again to the sunset schedule bill, and has filed a provision included in the bill amended the Lottery Commission sunset date from 2025 to 2029. However, a committee substitute to the Senate version of the bill removes the provision related to the Lottery Commission, which would ultimately just put back into current statute the agency sunset date at 2025. Lastly, the mobile sports betting bill that places the regulatory oversight of the initiative at the Texas Lottery Commission, House Bill 1942 and HJR 102 by Representative Jeff Leach, were considered by the House State Affairs Committee last month. The committee took action last week, and both bills were voted out favorably from the committee. With regard to the Senate companion bills filed by Senator Lois Kolkhorst, there has been no action taken by the Senate as of this day. Regular legislative session will conclude on Monday, May 29th, and at that time we will review bills that have been enacted that require implementation by the agency. And this concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, any questions, comments? Thank you, Nelda. Could you just, since it looks like it may have some legs, give us the quick summary again on the HB 431 and 643, Zaffirini and Thompson's on pertaining to
Sure.
bingo operations?
Yes, absolutely. So the provisions of that bill include removing the 750 prize limit per occasion. And it also increases the bingo occasion prize limit from 2,500 to 3,500. It increases the number of temporary licenses that a regular license may request from 24 to 48. And it changes the negative net proceeds evaluation period from 1 year to 2. I would say that those were the primary provisions. I would certainly look to our bingo director, LaDonna Costanuela, just to make sure I didn't miss something.
You're fine.
Commissioners, any other questions, comments? Nelda, can you go over, again, in a little bit greater detail, the items regarding courier in terms of how the agency was treating the item previously, our level of involvement, authority, ability to manage any of this?
Mr. Chairman, I think I'd like to ask our general counsel to respond to that question.
Hi, I'm Bob Beard, General Counsel.
For this session, and to this day, I mean, I think the commission's believes that it does not have the authority to regulate this third-party activity. That our jurisdiction is limited to the sort of narrow windows of when the ticket is purchased at a brick and mortar retailer. And then, of course, at the time when a ticket is brought in for a claim. So, you know, we've taken this narrow view of our jurisdiction, which is consistent, I think, with our general approach to the State Lottery Act in terms of the agency's authority. So the agency has not exercised jurisdiction in this area before because we believe that we don't have that authority. We understand all of our authority comes from the legislature, and we really look for express authorization to go beyond the literal terms of what's in the act.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. And that definitely adds the need just to reinforce that level of the agency's view on our level of really non-existent authority regarding the courier. So we appreciate your legal counsel. So, all right, Bob, thank you. Nelda, good job.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is our internal auditor report. Darlene, this is your.
Commissioners, for the record, my name is Darlene Brown, and I am your internal auditor. In your materials is a copy of our status report on the fiscal year 2023 annual internal audit. I'm currently working on two audits. The first is the key vendor system and organizational controls, which is better known in the world as SOC. And we're looking at the user control considerations. There's 37 controls listed in the SOC report for the scratch ticket vendors and the lottery operator, for which TLC has been identified as being responsible for. Annual audit is being implemented as a recommendation to the biannual security study that's performed on the agency by a third party. So we'll be doing this audit every year. The second audit that we have underway is the business resiliency plan. And that's often referred to in the state as the COOP plan, continuity of operations plan. What we're doing there is we're assessing the plan's completeness and any updates that are required as a result of changes to operations from moving to the building to make sure if anything does happen, the agency is well positioned to continue business without interruption. Both of these audits will be finalized and reported at the June 23rd commission meeting. Additionally, we're on target to complete all of the audits identified in the approved plan and stay within the approved budget, probably even come a little under. So that concludes my report for today, but I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Commissioners, any comments, thoughts? Thank you. Darlene, great job as always. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, next item is report on charitable bingo. Donna, this is your item.
Morning, Commissioners. For the record, I'm LaDonna Castanuela, Director of Charitable Bingo Operations Division. Item number 9 is a follow-up of an item that I presented to you last August regarding statutorily required reported data related to adjusted gross receipts and net proceeds for charitable bingo. When I spoke to you last summer, I provided financial information for 5 consecutive calendar years, ending with calendar year 2021, which was the most recent available at that time. And I committed that I would bring back to you calendar year 2022 information as soon as we had it. As you know, the charitable bingo industry reports by calendar quarter, and so calendar year 2022 data was not available until the reports were due in late January. In your notebooks for this item, you'll find a table including previously provided information for calendar years 2020 and 2021, and the recently reported information for calendar year 2022. This is not an action item. I have nothing further unless you have any questions.
Okay, commissioners, any thoughts? Good job. Thank you so much. Okay. Next item is a report from our esteemed Executive Director, Gary. This is your item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Other than what's in your notebooks today, I have nothing further to report.
Okay, Commissioners, any input to Gary? Anything else on? Thank you. Okay, Gary, thank you. All righty, item 12 is law enforcement cases. Bob, your item.
Yes, Commissioners. Item 12 contains 6 lottery cases, tabs A through F. In these cases, Commission staff found the licensee violated a lottery statute or rule. In many cases, either the respondent fails to appear at the hearing and it proceeds by default, or staff and the respondent reach a settlement in the form of an agreed order. And we have both types of cases today. Tabs A through E are the non-sufficient fund lottery retailer license revocations. Each case was presented at the State Office of Administrative Hearings for revocation of the retailer license because the licensee failed to have sufficient funds in the bank account to cover electronic funds transfers to the Commission's account. In each case, the licensee failed to appear at the hearing and the judge remanded the case to the Commission to handle as a default matter. Tab F is a lottery agreed order. This one case, a retailer's employee who, without his employer's consent, allowed a Commission investigator to purchase a lottery ticket with a credit card, and is a 30-day suspension. That concludes my presentation, and you may take up these cases in a single vote if you like, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, is there a motion to approve orders tabs A through F?
I make it. Second.
All right, we have a motion, a couple of seconds, couple of motions. I think everyone is in complete favor of this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Bob, good job. I take it, do we have any public comments, Bob?
I have no requests for public comment.
Okay. All righty. Before we end the meeting, on behalf of fellow commissioners, President and Cindy as well, we want to thank all of our employees all the way from Gary all the way to our most recent hire. Y'all are doing a tremendous job for the state. The agency is performing in all cylinders. We know a lot of you have a lot of extra duties right now in regard to session being ongoing. And so Eric, Nelda, everyone who are, involved in making sure that we, the agency, the commissioners are all up to date on everything in terms of our initiatives. And just we're grateful for all of the hard work and effort that all of y'all put in every single day. So thank you for what you do. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn? Motion. Okay, second? Second. Okay. You're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.